and just kind of, again, welcome you all and kind of integrate you here to the Penn community if you are new. It pained me to have our little picture in the corner there of our one of our canine officers, Ziza, with Swoop, who is the mascot for the Philadelphia Eagles, who lost their playoff game last night. But wanted to show you that we are integrated into the city here, even when our teams lose. We still like to represent our teams. I have a lot of pictures of folks from our police on this front slide. I will say from public safety, we are more than just police. We're going to talk about that to start, because I think oftentimes our brain thinks about policing when we think about public safety. But I'm going to go through lots of different options and lots of different resources for you to be aware of as you work through the Penn community. So as I said, let's start with the police department. So Penn has its own police department. We are fully accredited. We are separate from the city of Philadelphia. But we work closely with them. But I want to say to you that we have our own department that is fully and solely committed to this community, both Penn affiliates and all of those who move through our community. We are, like I said, a fully accredited. So that means we can do the same types of things that other police officers in Pennsylvania can do. So that means we can, our officers are armed, we can make arrests, we can do our investigations. So we have the same policing and public safety powers or authority as Philadelphia police or Pittsburgh, other parts of Pennsylvania. We derive our authority from the same kind of source as everybody else. We have a full detective unit, so we have detectives that are, again, fully committed to just this area and folks who are experiencing crime in our area, and then we can do those investigations. So it helps us to move more quickly through investigations. We're not relying on the city of Philadelphia. We have a bit more tools and that kind of thing, but more time to be able to devote to our folks here. So just want to make sure you are aware of that. As you saw with that picture with Swoop, we have our canine officers. They are ordnance detection officers or dogs. So they're bomb sniffing dogs. We use them around major events, dignitaries that are coming. I say that to you because if you are a dog person and you see them, they're likely not actively working. They might be. So, you're going to know. If we're sweeping, for Penn Relays coming up this spring, which is an event I highly recommend you check out. Kind of a global event on our campus. But if you're a dog person, you can go up and say hi and be friendly. If you're not a dog person, they won't bother you. They'll steer clear. But if you are, feel free to say hello. I'd like to show this photo of two of our officers to give you a sense of the types of uniforms that our officers wear. So you're likely going to see our police officers on patrol wearing either the lighter blue shirt that you see, or the all black uniform that you see on the right. They are both officers. One is sergeant level, and the other in the black uniform indicates to you that they're at a special level training for our emergency response team. So it's ERT team. That's if there's any type of active incident happening and we need to respond. We have folks who are trained and they operate on every shift to be able to respond to those types of calls. So if you've heard of like a SWAT team or something that's similar, that is basically our version of that. We're not big enough to have this kind of external team come in. Plus, we also want to act more quickly. So we have folks, again, on every single shift that have that trained. So if you see the black uniform, it's really only indicating they have that special layer of training. They do the same job as every other police officer on patrol, but they would just take the lead in any type of active incident. The other thing I like to point out about our uniforms is that you can see on their sleeves that both of our officers and every single one of our officers on patrol will have the Penn crest on their sleeve. So you're going to see that Penn, Penn police badge on the sleeve. You're going to know they're affiliated with Penn. You can ask them any questions, any concerns. I always say, if you're looking for to find out where the best cheesesteak is, our officers will answer that question as well. So you're here in Philly, get a cheesesteak, and they're happy to give you some advice. So definitely, don't be a stranger to our officers. They're here to help. They're here to make sure that you have a safe and enjoyable time while you're on our campus. Last thing I like to point out about our uniforms are, you can see that the major difference between our two officers is the type of vest that they're wearing. So Sergeant Zebley is wearing an internal vest kind of under the uniform. We're required by Pennsylvania to wear those. And then Sylvester on the right is wearing the external vest. That's where I will say most of our officers have chosen to wear the external vest. You'll see those more frequently. And ultimately, it's a weight management tool. It takes about 10 pounds off of their vest, off of their waist, and they're able to kind of more centrally put it on their chest and take some of that off of their lower back and knees. And on a 10 to 12-hour shift, it can be a lot. It also gives them the opportunity to, if they are not on patrol or having a break or in the car, they can take it off. If it's under your uniform, you're wearing that kind of 30-40 pound vest all day. And so it gives them a little bit of a break that way. So if you see them, it doesn't, again, indicate anything different. It just is a personal preference of how they prefer to wear their vest. So I'd like to point that out as well. Okay, where we respond to. So this is, for folks who are brand new to Penn, brand new to Philadelphia, brand new to the United States, this map probably does not look all that familiar to you. It will, in a matter of weeks, look very familiar to you. Our campus in Philadelphia works on a grid system. It is a city that I think is pretty easy to learn. So I just want to show you where our patrol zone is, where you're going to see our police in vehicles, on cars, on bikes, and so on. So if you look on the map here on the screen, you can see the kind of larger map area, but inside of that is that blue shaded section. That's where the Penn Patrol Zone is. Inside that blue shaded section, you see that red outline. That's the core of our campus. Those are the buildings that are going to be really familiar to you in no time flat. That's where our college houses are, most of our academic buildings, our dining halls, retail up and down Walnut Street, the Wawas on Chestnut and Spruce. So you're going to find all of the things that kind of make you think of Penn right within that red outline section. And so you can see that the blue shaded section on the map is actually goes far beyond that red outline. So we're more than just our buildings. We're more than just Locust Walk. You're going to see us all the way down to the river, or 30th Street, as far west as 43rd Street. Up to our northern border around Market, we kind of bump into Drexel University, if you've seen the signs and the buildings for Drexel, on our northern border. And then down to our south, we go down to Baltimore Ave, which turns into University Ave. So that's down by the hospital system. And of course, across to kind of our southwest, the rivers are Pennovation Works. There's lab space and other kind of entrepreneurial activities happening down there, which is pretty cool space. If you have a chance to check it out, I highly recommend. This is the part of the presentation where I ask you to do something. Don't worry, it's not a breakout group. It's not anything like that, but I do want you to take your phone and I want you to put our emergency number into it. That's that 215-573-3333 that you see on your screen. 215-573-3333. This is while you're on or near campus, and I do it with this slide so you kind of see it's both while you're in your class, living in your college house or apartment, walking around, doing nothing related to school, going to a party, coming from a party, whatever it might be. This is your emergency number to call. When you come to the United States, everyone tells you to dial 911 for any emergency, fire, medical, criminal, so on, which is true. We want you to do that, except when you're in this area. If you're on or near Penn's campus, 215-573-3333 is better and faster than dialing 911. I can't stress this enough. Put this phone number in your phones. Take a minute. Don't just take a picture of the screen, actually program it into your phone, and make sure you have that number. Again, we operate 24 hours a day. We don't have an emergency or non-emergency line. Everything comes to our Penn Communication Center, and we will assist you from there. So I can't, again, put it in there. Make sure it's there. 215-573-3333. Tell your friends or the folks that you've gotten to know who aren't here right now. Let them know this is the number. Make sure they've got it in their phones. Text them, send them a we chat, whatever it might be, get them this number. Okay. Also want to talk to you a little bit about some of our security services. So in addition to our police that I talked through and our jurisdiction and everything and their uniforms, we also have security officers that help complement our public safety work that we do in this area. So as you move about campus, both inside of our buildings and outside of our buildings, you'll see our what we call Allied Universal. That's the company that we contract with. You'll see our guards, both in buildings and external to buildings. When they're outside of our buildings, they typically wear uniforms like you see on your screen here. That's that bright yellow shirt or jacket, darker pants. We have guards on bikes. They do this like big Segway thing for special events. I think they think it's a lot of fun. But walking on bikes, and then of course inside of our buildings. Inside of our buildings, rather than that bright yellow shirt, most of our guards are wearing polos or button-down white shirts, sometimes with a blazer, depending upon their post of where they are, what building that they're in. In addition to being a great additive resource for police and public safety, one of the great things that our Allied Universal folks offer is a 24/7 walking escort. This is a security guard that will walk you from wherever you want to go, from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. It's free. It operates around the clock. There's no reason to not take one, or a better reason than another to take a walking escort. It is totally your preference and totally your comfort level. I will tell you, many folks will make use of these types of resources, this one in particular, as they get to know the area. So they're brand new to campus, they're brand new to Philadelphia, they're brand new to the United States, again, perhaps. So wanting to make sure that you get to the right place, taking the best route, and so on. Folks will use it if they're studying really late. They're leaving Van Pelt Library. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. They just want to make sure they're getting home safely. This is a great resource to use. And again, no one's going to ask you why you called. They're just going to ask you, where are you and where do you want to go? The other thing I'll share is that you don't have to be doing anything related to Penn to get this resource. If you are in, I'm just going to click back for a second. If you are anywhere within that blue shaded section and you want to take a walk with a walking escort to anywhere else in that blue shaded section, you do it. You don't have to be coming from class. You could be going to get a haircut, going to the grocery store, just taking a walk and wanting to make sure you're doing it as safely as possible. This is a resource for you. The other thing I'll say, and again, I know this map is not all that familiar to you, but within this blue shaded section that I'm moving my mouse in now, again, that's 24/7, 365 days a year, holidays, no matter what, there's always going to be a walking escort available for you. But in addition to that, except for the hours of 3 a.m. to 10 a.m., which again, I hope many of those you are sleeping, not all of them, but I hope you're sleeping most of those. We can get you a walking escort anywhere that you see on this screen. So that's if you have folks that you know over at Drexel and you want to visit them, or you're exploring West Philly, up Baltimore Ave, the different shops and so on, we can get you a walking escort anywhere that you see on this screen. So don't be shy. Please give us a call. You can call that same 215-573-3333 number, or you can dial 215-898-WALK or 9255 to request that. So again, great resource, cannot plug it enough. Please, please make use of it. And again, tell your friends to do the same. Want to plug just briefly as well is our Penn Transit Ride Service. This is a free transit service. It runs in the evening starting at 5 o'clock and it goes into the early hours in the morning. The best thing to do to stay up to date on where the buses are, what their route is, what their schedules are, is to download the Penn Transit mobile app. If you just go to the App Store, look for Penn Transit Mobile, you can download the app. You'll be able to see, you can make on-demand requests for rides. You can hop on the bus and shuttle that goes as far east as 20th Street, as far west as 48th, excuse me. So download the app. In alerts, if you don't have the app, or you need to get a ride and from a friend's phone who doesn't have the app, you can always dial 215-898-RIDE or 7433. But again, highly recommend download the app. It is not, I will be very honest with you, it is not as convenient or robust as Uber or Lyft, but it is way freer than Uber or Lyft. And so when I was a graduate student here many moons ago, I didn't know about it until like the April before the May I was graduating. And I'm like, why have I been paying for cabs? So great resource. You just show your Penn card, you hop right on. Okay, just briefly, I want to tell you a little bit about when you do call us, both either for a walking escort or calling into 215-573-3333 for Penn Police. All of our calls are answered here in our Penn Communication Center. So this is a shot of kind of one angle of our PennCom. This is like our dispatch center. So all calls are routed through here. We are going to get folks dispatched to your location as quickly as possible. We receive many thousands of calls throughout the year. We are a kind of 911 center for this area. So we don't want you to be shy about calling. Please call us. The other thing I'll say here is that on the right side of the screen, you see that call box, that yellow call box. So in addition to calling from your cell phone, or if there's a landline in a classroom where you are, we also have these emergency phones throughout our campus. So that blue shaded section that I showed you on the map before, we have these phones scattered throughout. We have over 700 of them. They blend in a little bit, but once you start to look for them, you see, oh, wow, there really are a lot of these. What these are their phones that are always available 24/7 again. In the event that you don't have your phone, or it feels safer just kind of immediately, maybe you think someone might be following you or something to that effect, you just open up that call box. You immediately take the kind of old school phone receiver off the handle, and you're immediately talking to one of our dispatchers. This is Jonathan in the photo here, who can pull up exactly what phone is calling us, as well as the camera, the closest camera that sees that phone. And so we can see what's happening around you. We know exactly where you are, and we can dispatch the appropriate level response to you, whether it be security, if you're requesting a walking escort, or police to take a report, or whatever it might be. So this is really, really helpful. And as you see them, in case of any emergency, you can always get a hold of us there. Okay, just briefly, I want to mention our Penn Guardian app as well. This is an app you can download on your phone. If you search for Rave Guardian, R-A-V-E, that's the company that we contract with for this. You sign up with your Penn email. You want to do just your kind of Penn key at upenn.edu. So even if you have a at C's or at Wharton, kind of in between there, just do your Penn key at upenn.edu. That will get you logged into our kind of portal. Couple great things about having the app on your phone. One, if you have the app on your phone, when you call us, we can see any information that you've put into your profile. So you'll set up a profile on the app, picture, emergency contacts, any other chronic medical conditions or allergies that you'd want first responders to know about you. You can put all of that information in the app, and all of that populates for us when you call us. So we can see that that information in advance. The other great thing about having this is that when you do call us, we can see the GPS information from your phone. So if you either don't know where you are, or you're having an allergic reaction and you can't tell us where you are, we're able to access that location information on your phone and get to you more quickly. So this is a really helpful app to have. I will tell you, most of the time it just sits in the background of your phone. It's there in case of an emergency. You do not have to dial through the app to have all of this be accessed. You just have to dial our 215-573-3333 number. And because you have the app on your phone, we're able to access that information. The last thing I'll say is you can text us through this app too. So if there's ever an incident where it didn't feel safe to speak, you could hit that submit tip button, click other or any type of content, and it's a free chat. And again, I'm just going to click back. When you do that, you're directly texting with a person. It's not a bot. It's not wait and hold for an agent. You're going to be texting with Jonathan, who's in our picture here. So great useful app to have, again, just in the background of your phone in case you need it. Highly recommend it. It doesn't take up a lot of space on your phone at all. Okay, just talking again, because as I prefaced when we started all of this is that public safety is more than just police. So we've talked about police, we've talked about our Penn Communication Center where all the calls are received. We've talked about our security services, but we also have our fire and emergency services, and they are folks who help keep our buildings safe and all of our life safety systems in place. So we're thinking fire alarm, we're thinking about emergency procedures for in case we need to shelter in place, or have a lockdown or evacuation. These are all of the, this is our team that helps us be prepared in the event of an emergency, fire being one of them. So if you're living in our college houses, you're going to have fire drills. You're going to know when to, where to go and when to go. If you're living off campus, I highly recommend make sure your apartment, your shared room in a house, whatever it might be, whatever you're living, so that you have smoke detectors. If you don't have a smoke detector in your unit or in your kitchen or somewhere in your apartment, contact your landlord. No jokes. Say, I need a working smoke detector. Please have it be installed. If they give you any trouble, email me directly. I'm happy to talk to your landlord and say this is a requirement, but just make sure that you do have that in there. And worst case scenario, you can always dial 311 and the city and the fire department will deliver you some smoke detectors. But talk to your landlord and make sure that where you're living is safe. The other thing I'll mention while I'm talking about off-campus living is if there is a window or a door that doesn't quite lock or is kind of funky and you're like, oh, it's no big deal, just talk to your landlord, have them get it fixed. It probably is ultimately no big deal, but we want to make sure that you feel as safe and secure as possible. Your window should lock, your door should lock. All of your ways of kind of entering and exiting the building should be able to be accessed as well as secured. So just make sure that you're feeling safe as you are living in our campus community. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to field those. And we have an Office of Off-Campus Living as well that can help you as you go ahead. One big thing, again, if you're in our buildings, both for class or living, no candles, no smoking. We hope you left your fireworks at home. Basically anything with an open flame is not allowed in our buildings. And we are a smoke-free and tobacco-free campus. So you may see signs in your building. So if you are a smoker, you have to be a certain amount away from the entrance to buildings to do that. All right, I'm just going to click through that for time. So one of the things we have seen, particularly targeting international students, are both online and phone scams. So we just want to preface and talk with you about it, is that we want to make sure that you're aware that these are out there. They can be very, very convincing. Basically, when scams occur, they're giving you a call, they're sending you an email, and they pretend to be somebody of authority, whether it be the FBI, the CIA, Social Security, somebody to do ICE, somebody to deal with immigration information, all of that. And we've seen more recently a twist of some sort of authority in your home country, from your home country, saying that you're in trouble, that a family member's in trouble, that something is going on, and that you need to do something about it. So typically, again, as it says here, the scammers will say that there's a problem. Sometimes it's a prize. Most often we're seeing problem. And so you're in trouble, somebody else is in trouble, something needs to happen in order to make this problem go away. What they'll do is they'll pressure you to act without thinking. So they're telling you this is time sensitive, do not call anybody else, you've got to send this money, you've got to do this, that, etc. That time pressure, that's really what's going to kind of send you. I mean, most of these things, you're not going to be, my hope, you would never be contacted by these offices anyway. But maybe you think that, okay, that's fine. And then they say, okay, there is a problem. But once that time pressure comes in, or you say, ooh, I really want to think about this, or I need time to figure out what I'm doing, and they've still come at you to say, no, you got to act now. That's when my hope is for you, will trigger for you, okay, this isn't legit. I wouldn't be pressured in this way. Oftentimes folks will say, you know, I'm going to call the police, and they'll say, don't call the police. They won't help you. That will only make things worse. If you are ever in a circumstance where someone tells you not to call the police, you should immediately call the police. That is like a telltale sign. This is not good. You know, if they say, don't call the police, it is, you know, cue for you, give us a call. We're happy to talk. And then they'll say that we want you to pay in a specific way. So a certain amount of money, very specific amount of money, go through Bitcoin, go through Cash App, go through something like that, do gift cards, and so on. So just be super aware. We don't want you to have to fall prey to this. We have contacts with the FBI. I know the FBI is all over these types of scams. We're trying to track them as quickly as possible. So if you hear of one, or if you get contacted by anybody, and even if you don't end up giving any money or doing anything like that, please let us know. The other thing I'll share is that oftentimes we'll see acts of what would be closer to kind of extortion. So somebody meets someone online, you're having a great conversation, it's kind of flirty, it feels nice, and the other person will say, hey, why don't you, I'll send you some pictures of me, why don't you send me some pictures of you? We do not recommend sending pictures to strangers online. It happens all of the time. We understand this is part of how folks communicate. But what we see happen, unfortunately, is that once you send those pictures of yourself, that this stranger who represented themselves to be part of Penn, to be whatever it might be, now says, okay, I have these pictures of you, and I see all of the names of your family members and your friends, and or your the lab that you work in, and I'm going to send them to all of them unless you give me X amount of money. We do not recommend giving the money. Please call us right away. That is absolutely a scam, and it can feel kind of embarrassing sometimes, but we don't want you to be embarrassed. We don't want you to fall prey to it in the first place by sending any of those photos, but if it happens, please let us know. We want to be able to help you. And where we are to be able to help you in addition to the police is my Office of Special Services. So we are a confidential unit. So anything shared with us does not necessarily have to go anywhere you don't want it to go. We can talk to you about all of your options. We are on call 24/7. We provide court accompaniment. So if you are the victim of any type of crime, not only we're going to follow up with you for support and options and resources, but we're also, when an arrest is made, we're going to be with you through the entire process, through the court process. We don't want you having to navigate that alone. It's bureaucratic and a mess, and we know it really well. And so we want to be able to help you that way. We also offer self-defense and empowerment courses. So they're completely free for any Penn affiliate. You can sign up right on our website. We should have our new dates up by the end of the week, as soon as the semester has started. So you can sign right up right in there. We do both virtual and in person, and a little bit of a mix of the two. So happy to have you join us. And we partner over at Pot Truck in the gym, and you'll see lots of options for our self-defense courses, which is great. The other big thing that I like to mention here is that we're not bound by the same geographical boundaries, that blue shaded section of the map that I showed you earlier. So if something happens in Center City, or if you're visiting New York for the weekend, or DC, or wherever it might be, or even home over a break or something like that, we're more than happy to help. We might not have the immediate expertise, but we're going to look into it. We're going to take something off of your shoulders, some part of the burden off of your shoulders, and try to assist you in any way that we can. So please, don't be shy about getting in touch with special services. We are available, like I said, 24/7. You can reach us, but that same public safety number, that 215-573-3333, and just ask to speak with special services, or our on-call number, which is the 898-6600. Which is, we're available 24/7 there. So please definitely get in touch with us. I think that is the end, which saves about 5 minutes for questions. So I know it's not a lot of time, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if any Q&A came through, and really appreciate you all being here with us, and welcome to Penn.
Well, thank you so much, Paige, for the great and thorough presentation. We haven't received any questions in the Q&A, I guess I wanted to maybe give students a little bit of time in case they haven't figured out how to use this feature. So
I have
for
one other thing I can mention too, just while folks are thinking about questions. I think oftentimes we hear like what blocks should we not go to? What parts of the city should we not explore? And they're simply, I love Philadelphia. I came to Philadelphia from a really small town in Virginia, just kind of to a few states south of us. There we had like 2.5 stoplights in my town. Philadelphia was the biggest and brightest place I'd ever been to. And I've always felt very safe in the city. So I invite you to explore it. The food scene, it's incredible. The shopping and just arts and culture is really incredible. So I highly recommend that you explore the city. Of course, as you're doing that, make use of the public safety resources that are around you. Those walking escorts that I talked about, Penn Transit, going with a group of friends, frankly, can be safer than just going about things on your own. That way you have some accountability and so on. To one another. Here in the Penn area, the #1 reported crime is unattended theft. That's us leaving our bag somewhere or our phone in a coffee shop and it kind of being taken from us. So we can feel a couple ways about that. One is it's not a violent crime, and it's also something we can do something about, right? So make sure you do keep your belongings with you. If you happen to have a bike or an e-scooter, which we do not recommend e-scooters, they're actually quite dangerous. But if you have any of those things, lock them up properly with a U-lock, not a chain, not anything like that. And just make sure you hold on to your things. Also, as you move about Philadelphia, there may be times where you are approached for money from someone who was on the sidewalk with you, or so on. What we recommend is that you divert what could be a philanthropic moment for you to some other through some other means. So we do not recommend giving the money right there at the Wawa and other places. You can donate money to Fill Abundance, which helps feed folks who are kind of housing and food insecure in the city. There's lots of other ways to give. So we recommend that if you are feeling charitable or philanthropic, that you divert those activities elsewhere than kind of direct person to person on the street. If you're being increasingly made uncomfortable or bothered by someone, please just call us. We are a public safety. So we are thinking about the folks who come in and out of our area, both our affiliates, of course, but citizens of Philadelphia. So we're going to help engage. It is not uncommon for our officers to buy somebody lunch, but we feel in a good position to be able to do that, and that you do not have to. So please, if you're being bothered, if you're made to feel uncomfortable, just give us a call. We're happy to respond.
Oh, okay. Paige, maybe I will raise a question that I know have come up in the past, and then we, can end the session. So for students, oftentimes that they travel, and they travel in the States, and many of them might at times also travel overseas and during their time at Penn. So if outside of, Philadelphia, they encounter, issues that regarding their safety, what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, so if you're outside, it's a great question. Thank you. So if you're traveling outside of this area or outside of, we'll stick to the United States at first. We would want you to, if it's an emergency, to dial 911. So if you're away from campus, we want you to dial that 911 to get emergency services, and have them respond to you right there, then and there. You can always report instance of crime at any time. What I recommend is to try and do it as close to the time of the incident as possible. That way, investigatively and so on, and response-wise, there's a lot more that can happen kind of immediately than later down the line. Although nothing should stop you. If you don't do it immediately, you can still always follow up and do it later. The second call I would make, or third, you might want to call your family and let them know, is to call us in special services. Like I said, we're not bound by those same geographical boundaries. We want to be able to be of assistance. We understand that even though something happened way away from Penn, it still happened to you, right? You are who we care about, not where or even what. You are who we care about. And so we want to make sure that we get you connected to the resources when you come back to campus, whether it be counseling, any other nonprofits in the area. You could have had your laptop taken. And so all of your, half of your dissertation is gone now. And how can we help you kind of recover some of that and get some breathing room as you figure out what your next steps are. So that's what I would advise. If you're outside of the country, it's a similar type of advice. Just it would be country dependent on what that emergency number is. It's not going to be 911 across the world, as you know. So we'd call them, and then as you're coming back to campus or even while you're abroad, letting us know about it to see how we can help problem solve with you.
All right, this is very helpful. So thank you so much again, Paige, for doing this presentation and sharing the very helpful information with our students.